Hello, guys, and welcome to the SpursRelated channel. I hope you're all well and staying safe. As always, we're here with Joseph McBride and Andre from SpursRelated. How are you guys doing?
Pretty happy. Can't lie.
Joe, you don't seem
Yeah.
happy. What's up?
No, is he not happy? I'm all right. I've got over it, but well, we'll see.
Okay. So you're all good. Okay. Well, obviously, we're gonna have a bit of a. It's gonna be a good one today because I know that Joe does try and stay very. What's the word? Like, I just can't think of the word.
Impartial.
Yeah,
I'm
impartial. You are, and
I
to be fair,
will
you are.
remain impartial.
And to be fair, you are. But obviously, Joe, as we know, will have some opinions that perhaps we oppose. Andre, we'll obviously see going through this. But overall, just starting off, I'm very very happy with the game. Obviously, yeah, 1 point, but at the start of the game, I was expecting us to lose by quite some bit. I mean, at the moment, the three Premier League teams at the top of the table, well, actually two, Chelsea have slipped off a bit. They're just a class above everyone else. I think Chelsea still are, but I think Liverpool and Man City in particular, no one's expecting to get points out of, and the fact we got a point and played very well and seemed very happy is a positive. Andre, do you kind of feel the same?
Well, look, I think we should have won that game. I was pretty mad at some points, but you know what? We tied. So I mean that's an accomplishment in itself, I guess. And also Kane looked like he was there for once. Like he really I haven't seen him celebrate like that in a while. So that made me really, really happy.
Hasn't been able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre? What did you think of Kane? Like, obviously, getting the goal, and he went absolutely nuts. Of course, I think there was a lot of passion that came out of that, and a lot of relief. And obviously, a few minutes later, a very controversial point in the game happened where Kane sort of went in pretty strong on Andy Robertson, who ended up getting a red card in the end anyway, which was obviously not ideal for Liverpool. What were your thoughts on that? I'm going to go to Joe. Obviously, I know, Joe, you were pretty fuming about that should have been a red. A lot of people are saying, yes, it should have been. Obviously, a lot of the pundits were saying it should have been. And what were your thoughts on that?
Well, you said about me being impartial before, and I'll remain to be impartial, and it's a red card. Anyone that's got sense, anyone that can see that knows that's a red card. Anyone that has a grasp of the rules in the game knows that's a red card. He should have been sent off. It's clear as day, and I'm not going to be one of those people online that is, Robertson saw red, Kane didn't, all the rest of it. Robertson's was also a red card. Same as Xhaka, that was also a red card for Arsenal. It's just inconsistencies and refereeing decisions are changing games. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, we should have won, etc., etc. I think at the end of the day, a draw was a fair result. Kane, good goal, happy for him. England captain, I'm always going to be happy for Kane regardless. It's a shame it's obviously his big guy has come against us, but it was an amazing game to watch. It was, for the neutral, one of the games of the season, if not the game of the season. For fans of Liverpool and Tottenham, it was a concoction of, exhilaration, heartache, panic, nerves. It was horrendous. Everything that could have happened in that game did. But the tactical battle was insane. Conte knew that we were going to have our fullbacks pressing, so he just looked to expose them, and that worked pretty early on without Van Dijk. Good goal. And it was the brilliance of our fullbacks that allowed Liverpool to get into the game. An unbelievable cross to Jota for the equaliser. It was again the fullbacks that linked up in controversial circumstances for the second goal, which again, laws of the game. Although it did hit his hand, it was accidental, and it was in the build up to the goal, which this year is allowed. And you've got some screen grabs. I'll happily send you the rule book if you can put that on stream. But it was a red card. The game would have changed at that point. In a weird way for how the game flowed. I'm happy. If from a neutral's perspective, it didn't, because it would have ruined the game. But if you're taking the game as it is, it was a red card, and he was very fortunate to stay on the field. And I'm not happy about that for that sake. And there was a penalty in there which you've missed out. Inconsistencies are just. It's got to be cut out. VAR has been brought in for a reason, but there are absolute mugs behind it, and it's got to be sorted out, because for having the highest level of football in Europe, we have the worst level of officiating, and that's fact.
Yeah, obviously, about your point at the end, Jurgen Klopp was obviously absolutely fuming. He said he had a problem directly with Paul Tierney, and Paul Tierney kind of walked away. It was a bit of a heated sort of moment now at the end of the game, but obviously, I can see why people thought it was a red, and it was strong. And I think maybe if it was later in the game, I think that also has an effect. And that shouldn't. It really shouldn't. But like you said, that there is absolute mugs behind the VAR, and that needs to be changed because they've improved the technology in the system, and they don't do these stupid. I remember the first season it came in, it was absolutely ridiculous. They were doing the most ridiculous lines, and it was just, you might as well have had Dave from the pub doing it. It was awful. But saying that, it's still not being managed properly, like you said, Joe, and I do agree with that. There is inconsistencies like that Arsenal game against Leeds. Xhaka and Gelhardt should have both been sent off. Both started showing to the shins, and obviously Kane did the same. I think Kane was fortunate he didn't connect more, because if he did, I think
that's the thing. Like, the reason he didn't get sent off is because of the position of Robertson, the fact he didn't connect. But you don't judge a red card based on how the opposition player takes it. It's based on the action of the guy that does the tackle. And
I do agree.
It was dodgy. The one thing that saved his grace was the fact that it was only the 1 foot, but it was still studs up. And, I love Kane, so it's no hit against him. But I think the referees kind of bottled it because of the uproar that would have come from sending off the England captain, Tottenham's main man, a guy of that stature that's seen as such a big professional. It was quite out of character for him to act like that. You could see after the goal, he was like, living off pure adrenaline. He was so riled up.
That's what I mean. Yeah, definitely.
And Robertson is definitely, it's nothing against Robertson. He was fine. He's definitely one to give one as well. So he's certainly susceptible to taking one. But on that occasion, Kane should have seen red. And some people have disagreed, but Robertson deserved to see red later as well. It was a silly challenge, and he felt a similar, emotion to Kane did earlier in the game.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree that they could have both been reds. Let's be honest. Like and being even, like I said, I think that is a thing that, like you said, the fact that sending off an England captain would have been controversial, and it was only like 30 minutes in, wasn't it? So they didn't want to.
They sent off the Scottish captain instead. It's fine.
Well, exactly that. If you told me to start the game, we get a point, I'd taken it all day over the chance to create it. We should have won. And that's how a lot of Spurs fans are feeling, Kageta. Welcome on in, by the way. Yeah, that's how a lot of Spurs fans are feeling, because I said to you, Joe, I said, like, I feel like we should have won, and when I kind of calmed down, because it was an exciting game. It was the most excited I've been about Spurs for a while, and we've only got a draw. I mean, but it's a great draw against Liverpool, let's be honest, like one of the best teams in the world. But at the end of the day, we did feel a bit like, oh, we should have gone on and won. Maybe the red card happened earlier. We would have won. Andre, were you feeling a little bit like that? Were you feeling a bit like we should have got all 3 points in the end?
I think we had a lot of chances and we didn't take them. This was the exact same thing that happened. I think it was when Mourinho was here and Bergwijn missed 2 really easy chances. This is the exact same thing, except worse, because you had Kane missing a header that was right there. You had Dele Alli missing an open net. You had Son. Well, I forgive Son because I think he was just looked really tired.
Yeah, he's had COVID, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I could see that he wasn't. He looked out of breath when he was making the smallest sprints, and that's so unlike him. I think, although I'm sort of chuckling, it's sort of like actually quite serious. Like, it seems like a lot of those players have had COVID, and the effects of it could honestly be for a long time, because you look at who's the player from Bayern, Joshua Kimmich. He's had to go off football for a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah,
there's also unvaccinated
effects, I guess. Yeah,
he's unvaccinated 100%, but we don't know which one of these players are and aren't either. So I think it's a very serious situation, because it's gonna get worse again, for sure. But without going too negative, I personally, I pretty much agree with what everyone's saying here. It could have gone either way in terms of the decisions. Let's talk about those penalty decisions, Joe. I know you wanted to mention it. Dele Alli obviously went down in the Liverpool box in the second half. Two hands by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Did he push him hard? No. Did he push him? Yes. But was it a penalty? It would have been soft. I have to agree with that. But then obviously you've got the other one where, was it Sanchez? It was kind of a mix.
Bundled into Jota.
It was a mix of them both, wasn't it? They were both there, bundled down. Jota in the box. That was just at the end of the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that was a pen. I can't lie. I turned to my dad. I was like, "That's a penalty." Oh dear, and it wasn't. And then obviously they were checking for handball in the Liverpool goal. So there was there was so many different
much.
moments in the game, and it was such an exciting game. I was trying to think to myself, it's the most excited I'd been about Tottenham for pretty much since Conte's come in. I think that's definitely the most exciting game, and probably for one of the best games of this year. Definitely, like Joe said. Anything to add about certain points, Joe or Andre?
Usually, I'm pretty neutral when it comes to decisions, even on Spurs. Like when something happens and I see it, some of my friends will get all defensive, and I'm like, no, that's a pen, or no, that's a foul. Like that was a dumb mistake. But you know what? Screw Liverpool. Okay, they always get decisions made for them. I think Klopp is just mad because for once a referee isn't on his side. So suck it.
Red card and a penalty you got away with. You're saying screw Liverpool.
No, but to be fair, Joe, a lot of the time Liverpool do get the decisions, don't they?
But like, I don't understand what that means. That's good. Most of the time they're right. You know, you got to get the rubber green in whatever way you want. But I'm just saying, when it's that, if it's contentious and it's 50-50 on a knife edge and you get it or you don't get it, fair enough. But when a guy's literally just been absolutely like barged over in the box and he's about to take a shot and it's not given, when a guy's had his literal like rest of the season endangered by Kane's loose leg and it's not given, that's not us being lucky. That's just dumb officiating, and that's not to be held over Klopp. Sorry. And I'm not surprised he was furious at the end because Paul Tierney gave him an explanation as to why he didn't give the penalty. And he said that Jota was just waiting for the contact before he shot, which is just, you can't do both. You can't just continue to sprint and then shoot. He was steadying up for a shot. He was ready to put it in the bottom corner and he just got barged over. And then 2 minutes later, when Klopp did get the yellow card as well, Emerson bundled into a guy on the halfway line exactly the same velocity and got booked for it. So it just, he'd already been booked earlier in the game, which is why it was even worse because it was obviously, I don't know if he would have got the second yellow or not, but it was exactly the same thing. And it's the classic of, if that's a foul there, why is it not a foul in the penalty box? And it's just so many inconsistencies. It's just, I think any other league or top league in Europe, that would have been given.
And the other thing I was going to say, Joe, if it was at Anfield, I reckon it would have been given as well. So again, inconsistencies.
That you're saying that as if it's, pro Liverpool and all the rest of it. That even
I'm saying it because a home team always gets the rubber green on decisions.
Like
that is just football, isn't it? That's just football, though. That's just part of having the home advantage, isn't it?
It's just silly. I don't know. I think everyone it's a weird one. It all gets balanced out in the end. So obviously we're frustrated. I'm frustrated at this one. For every decision you don't get, you'll get one in another game. And I'm sure everyone can remember times where they're like, "Oh, we got away with that one." And, this is Spurs' opportunity this time. So it all evens out in the end. But I don't know.
Well,
VAR's
the only person that would defend that I've seen defend this statement that I made before are Liverpool fans. So, yeah.
What statement?
That things always go your way.
I remember when we were called Liverpool at one point, and then there was actually a table that got drawn up and we were in the bottom half. So in terms of decisions that VAR had gone against us or for us, Manchester United are always in the top three. I think Spurs are actually quite up there. I wish I could find that now. So.
I think I'm just salty because we never beat Liverpool, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's just, never mind.
You still couldn't.
Anyway, guys, let's move on to the player ratings now. And guys, we're doing this every game now on Forza Football. If you download the app, check out our stories. You can get Forza Football, and we put up the player ratings. You get notification every time these go up, and also predicted lineups. But these were the player ratings that we decided we'd go for. Any standout performance for you? For me, it was Winks and Lloris, hence the ratings. And pretty much all the back line were pretty solid. Emerson, arguably, like you said, Joe could have given away that penalty and was a bit sloppy at times. I thought Dele Alli, obviously we'll come on to it a bit more, but Dele Alli had one of his best games for a long time. Yes, he missed that one-on-one, but at least he was putting in pretty much 100%, which was nice to see for once. And Winks was unbelievable. Guys, out of those ratings, what stands out for you? What do you maybe not agree with? Just talk to me about who you thought was the standout players, really.
Yeah, Winks, he surprised me. He really did. I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that out of all the players there that impressed me, it was Winks. I think that was a very, I would almost say it's like his response to the possibility that now that January is around the corner, that
It's
he
the
could
same
be.
with Dele Alli, isn't it? And these players that are almost on their way
But
out
even
suddenly
Dele
get.
Alli, like the way if this is his response to the possibility of him being sold, it's not good enough for Dele Alli. It's not good enough. He so wasteful at the front. Yes, he did some really, really nice things and some really disgusting moves there. Like there was one where he went through 2 Liverpool players, but then he lost the ball right after. So I was like, what was the point of that? You know?
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
I
wasn't.
just think for Dele Alli, he hasn't played like that for well over a year. Obviously, he hasn't had the chance, but even when he got a chance with Mourinho, that was the last time I saw Dele Alli back to sort of near or at his best when Mourinho brought him in as that second striker and he started scoring quite a few goals. I think he had like 5 goals in 7 games or something like that. He went on a little bit of a run, but since then, he's just been very, very underwhelming. Doesn't seem like he cares too much. But yesterday, he really was up for it. You could see I think the crowd just got everyone going, and I can't just say it's a crowd, but it did seem like when we started so well, it makes such a difference. It gets everyone going. Like when we start slow at that stadium, it's just like, oh, here we go. We're waiting to concede. Because we were up for the game 30 minutes in, we're 1-0 up. It just felt so different yesterday, and it got the players going, and they really, thrived off that, I thought. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. But again, I just think that between Winks and Dele Alli, both of them felt like they had something to prove on that pitch, and I think that was that almost felt like what happened. That's why Conte started them. He's like, okay, we're about to play the one of the hardest games of the season, and you need to show me that come January, you're not someone that I'm thinking about selling. I think Winks had something to prove there. He obviously needs to play more games for that to really be a decision. I just feel like the response was more strong on Winks than on Dele Alli. I think Dele Alli he was given opportunities. He didn't bring them in. If he plays a little better, which makes his price go up a little bit more, so when we sell him, we get more money, that's fine. But I'm done.
You want Dele Alli out?
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's
Okay.
good enough for us.
Okay. I'm just going to be interested to see what he does next game because I think Conte will start him now. I think he'll start him next game, or he'll certainly feature more. And I think like you said, Conte was so highly praising Winks at the end of that game. You're saying he's a very, very good player. He works well in a 5-3-2, and I think Conte definitely enjoyed that 5-3-2 yesterday over the 5-2-1, 5-2-3 he was using before. Because I think although maybe Lucas would have helped in that game, it did work with the 2 direct strikers. And I did really like Son up as that second striker rather than coming off that wing. I think it worked better. Maybe it was just the opponent we were playing, but I think Conte gets better results out of the 5-3-2. Joe, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I already said tactically he got it spot on because, I mean, our fullbacks go in midfield for most of the game. So it was as soon as you got the ball, it was just hit the ball, through and that's it. And you saw it usually now, the centre mids playing out to the fullbacks, etc. Gets a clap from the crowd, but Ndombele playing that ball in behind through to Kane. It's not something you see too much anymore. And obviously, it worked because we were short and you tactically got it spot on. And hopefully you haven't started a thing for the future where everyone tries to do that against us now. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Winks had a good game and credit to him. I think you can only be what's put in front of you. He did have a very weak Liverpool midfield to contest with. Sorry to be biased again, but the fact that he got one over Tyler Morton and got an 8.5, fair play to him if he's got himself a contract at Tottenham. But
it started to sound like Klopp, Joe. A bit salty.
No, but I mean, one thing that Andre said as well was about all the chances you missed, and obviously that's not ideal, but at least the chances are coming. You've come off like 3 or 4 games. Was it you didn't have a shot on target and it was just hapless and it was a slow start? Whereas now you're creating, and for long periods of that game, I was genuinely concerned when you're on the attack. I know Kane missed that chance. He should have had the header. Son was a bit lackluster. If they were all on point and give Conte time, then I think you can be a real threat. And we know he likes playing 5 at the back. It's funny enough that when Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-0 way back in, I think it was 2016 or whatever, he then changed to a 5 back. And from then, that's when they won the title, winning 30 games. And he's very good at that system. And speaking of wing backs, I mean, Sessegnon had a blinder against Salah. I can't I can't say like
Yeah.
anything else other than that. I mean,
Yeah, he's
Salah
still.
couldn't really get in the
Salah,
game.
Salah was found in his pocket this morning when he woke up. You know,
Yeah, and
he
again,
absolutely pocketed Salah.
tactically, Conte showed through because him and Davies doubled up on that right side for the whole game. But I mean, they did such a good job, so fair play to them. Bearing in mind,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't know. I think Dele Alli is a guy that everyone wants to see play well. Tottenham fans, non-Tottenham fans. You know, after those few years he had, everyone wants to see him firing, and something's not been quite right since. But I do think he needs to move away from Tottenham to get his career back on track, similar to like a Lingard kind of thing. But he's at a completely different stage in his career, so he's got such a long time to do it. But tactically, you look good, lads.
Decent, yeah, fair analysis. And would you guys agree with? I don't know about man of the match in the whole game. I would probably argue it, but in terms of the Tottenham man of the match, would you guys go Harry Winks?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he was sort of the wall there for the whole game. All the tackles that were happening was him. I mean, everyone was really giving their all, but I do think that Winks would just like that the one that led to that first goal. I was like, who was that? Like, who just
exactly sliding
in?
That's what I was about to say. Like, it was so promising, like from the start. I mean, like you were saying, Joe. On another day, if we put those chances away, we could have been 3-0 up in 40 minutes. But we weren't. We were nearly 2-1 down at half time. So that's something we're obviously going to need to work on. I think we have to sign a striker in January for me and a centre back.
In a game that was that end to end, the game was always going to be won or lost in that midfield area. So I think it had to be him because of the way you played and how you pushed. And I don't know, maybe we're also giving it to him because of how he stepped up when he hasn't in the past, and he had a great game. But I think he deserved it on that day. You know, Ndombele didn't play 90 minutes, neither did Dele Alli, and none of the Liverpool midfield deserved it really. Felt sorry for that our young lad Morton that got a yellow early on Winks as well, who skipped past him and got the yellow. He pulled that out of him really early on, so I think it had to be Winks.
Yeah, definitely fair analysis, guys. I don't know. At the moment, I can't work out who's more annoyed with the draw, Andre or Joe. I thought Andre would actually be buzzing with a draw. I'm very happy with a draw. Yes, we could have won, but at the end of the day, if you said to me, like Ageta said, if you said to me at the start of the game, we'd have taken that point all day long. You know, all day long. So, Andre, I think you've got to pump yourself up. It's good signs that we're going to go on to the next game.
I'm happy that we got a draw. I'm just annoyed because when you really look at the context of the game, with slightly better players, we would have won that. I think Conte prepared the players for how to dress Liverpool down. We just never took we never took those shots and made them count. You know, we had those chances, and Dele Alli missed, Kane missed, Son missed. I think a slightly better player, which I'm sure Conte is thinking that as well, would have taken those shots and scored. So
for sure,
we could have easily won that almost like 4-2, really, to be honest.
Could have done, but at the end of the day, like you're saying, we didn't get the goals that we needed at the start. And that invited pressure from Liverpool. And when Jota scored, it was almost like it was deserved because we weren't taking our chances. And it kind of came out of nothing as well. The cross, unmarked header. I mean, bloody hell. That's not ideal, is it?
I think the second goal was actually pretty nasty. It came out of nowhere. Robertson's header.
Unbelievable pass that you got to give it to Brent.
I got pretty mad. I was like, how does this keep happening? Like Liverpool just, I don't know.
My favorite bit of that whole goal was when Salah hit Salah's arm to come back into play, and he held his head as if it hit his head. Like, bless him. I mean, come on. Anyway,
you're laughing about the mark on Robertson's face. I think that's just where the ball hit him when it went in. I'm not even joking. I've looked at it.
Yeah, he did. He had a bruise. I thought one of the Spurs players hit him or something. I was like, what's going on there?
Yeah,
the power that ball was swung by Trent, which is an unbelievable ball, by the way. I think it just cannoned off his head and went in, which is fair play.
It looked like he'd been punched, though. For the last 5 minutes, we're going to look at the breaking news from this morning, which was UEFA announcing that Spurs forfeited the game against Rennes, and therefore we're out of the third tier of Europe. with the most tragic group I have ever seen. And only Tottenham would be able to do that in the Premier League, I think. So, summarising that, guys. Obviously, I'll go with Andre's opinion on this, but I'll go with Joe first for my second point, which is, Joe, is that deserved? Why have we given a 3-0 loss? And do you think it's a blessing in disguise for Spurs?
Is it deserved? No, because, it was out of your control. The reason you couldn't play the tie, really. Is it a blessing in disguise? I believe so. I feel like, you're going to get a load of stick for it, and you're going to be a bit of a laughing stock for the manner of which and the competition that you've bowed out of in circumstances. You should have been able to qualify while taking, the 3-0 loss anyway. That's what we should be looking at here.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to take it now than, I think you'd all prefer it if, let's say you spend all these Thursday games, have all these Sunday games rescheduled, you get really deep into the competition, and then you suffer a loss right towards the end and then still can't win it. I think you'd rather just take it now. It's a shame, but at least you can kind of have it against it. Like, it was out of your control. I think it's unfair, but I mean, UEFA rules are the way they are. They don't mess about. They want to get the competition done.
Correct, Joe. Correct. But why have UEFA not played ball when we were the ones that tried everything to reschedule that game? Like, I mean, apparently we tried to reschedule it on so many times. We tried to reschedule it. We even said we play at Rennes. UEFA still didn't say that. I mean, how for me, I understand what you're saying. It's tragic that we needed a win to go through, and I think for me anyway, I was saying on another podcast, it's a blessing in disguise that we're out of this, because we've got 3 competitions. We've got a huge game against West Ham, obviously. Bloody hell, it's tomorrow, isn't it? No, Wednesday. And then we've got obviously the Premier League as well, which everyone's saying top 4's back on, and we've got the FA Cup. So. For me, we don't have the squad. We have such a thin squad. It's great. It's not great we're going out, but it is a blessing in disguise. I think that's the best way to summarize it. But how can players' health, which is basically uncontrolled, and then you have to cancel the game because they got COVID, that counts as a loss? To me, it just doesn't add up. It's not fair.
UEFA don't care, and the fact that they can't even pick out 7 groups in a draw, or the fact that they're going to try and rearrange a game is far-fetched. I don't think they care. They took this as an opportunity just to bypass it and move on with the competition. It was only Tottenham that was the issue, so I think they just swiped it aside, and you got to take it as it is. But
don't you think it's embarrassing that? And again, you might not agree, but you probably were actually in hindsight. Tottenham being one of the bigger teams in the competition, if not the biggest, with sort of Roma. Why are they not doing more to keep the big teams in this new competition? It's an inaugural competition. It's the first one ever. Why would you want Spurs, a Premier League side, a top 6 Premier League side, out? It just makes no sense.
But wouldn't it make more sense to have a smaller team possibly win so that they can make it to a Europa League? That's the whole point of the Conference League, right?
No, because they need to put this UEFA Conference League on the map. I mean, Brendan Rodgers didn't even know what it was when he said that, when he got found out that Leicester go into it. I mean, they need to make it more well-known, and by having bigger clubs in it, it's going to help that, surely. I just don't understand it. Andre, are you annoyed we're out of it, or are you feeling like me? I think it's blessing in disguise.
I'm over it. I was over it when we were first being told that could happen. And I was completely over it when I realized that we were, I think, 2-3 games behind everybody else in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it? That's a very good point. With 3 games behind, is it 3 games or 2 games? 3 games. Burnley, Leicester,
right?
Burnley, Leicester,
and Brighton.
Oh no, and Brighton.
And Brighton, yeah, exactly. 3 games behind.
So I think what Conte basically was saying when he was saying that, he was saying, I'm starting to realize what kind of squad I have. If we don't have our first team players on the pitch, we suck. Our team is not, it's a very light squad, like you said. And I think the only reason why we're getting the results we are is because he's sticking with the first team and then, putting in maybe 1 different player in there, or 2 different players in there, but that's it. But the minute that he's like, okay, I want to give Son and Kane a rest, or I want to give a couple players a rest, we suck.
Exactly. And we rely on them when then they have to come off the bench to beat Mura at home. I mean,
yeah,
I think we just get over the embarrassment and just, focus on the league and the cups. And we're huge cup game on Wednesday. just briefly before we end up, guys. Obviously, Wednesday against West Ham. What's your predictions? For me, I'm not going to lie, it's the most scared I've been at West Ham for about 20 years. I mean, it's unbelievable how well they're doing. I hope we can make it through, but it's obviously going to be very close. If I had to guess, I think it could. Does it go straight to penalties? It does in the cup, doesn't it?
Carabao, it does, yeah.
But no, there's a certain point where it goes to extra time. Is it now? Is it the quarters?
Is this Carabao Cup?
Yeah, there's a certain point where it goes to extra time and then penalties. I'm pretty sure.
Is this the quarterfinals? Because it's not yet.
Quarterfinals.
Not yet. I don't think.
Okay, so my guess would be I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to penalties. Or a 2-1 Spurs win. You think draw and penalties, then, Joe?
No, it's a weird one.
Say West Ham win.
No, I'm not saying that. I think, especially after how that last game went, you're going to be going into that wanting more, especially a big London affair like that. And I remember they got one over you in quite weird circumstances in the cup, but they've beaten United. They've beaten Man City on penalties, so they're going to be thinking, we can win this competition. But they've had a recent slump in form as well. They were done by Arsenal 2-0 and drew 0-0 to Burnley. So they've had a bit of a slump themselves, as everyone kind of has.
And they lost to Wolves.
Period. So, I mean, they've gone from being the mighty Hammers, we're massive, to, maybe we're just West Ham again. So it's like, I don't know. It's going to be a good game to watch. I mean, that's definitely the pick of the round. But no, I think Tottenham, based on just the last performance in itself, and I think Tottenham will have enough to edge that. But it's a weird. To be fair, I'm going to completely go. I reckon you're probably right. It might go to a shootout because West Ham are going to be thinking they're going to win that competition.
Definitely. Who's the other ties? Remind us, Joe.
Liverpool got Leicester.
Liverpool got
Leicester. Arsenal got Sunderland. Yeah.
Brentford, Chelsea.
Chelsea, Brentford, is it?
I'll have a quick look.
This is a round of 16.
No, it's not. It's quarters.
Sorry.
Definitely quarters.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, Tottenham, West Ham, Arsenal, Sunderland. So yeah, that was it.
And it definitely goes straight to penalties.
I believe so. If I am wrong, I do apologise. But
if you're wrong, we put it in the comments, guys. But no, that's it for this week. Guys, thanks for watching. Andre, Joe, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the game on Wednesday, Joe. I know you said you're going to look forward to that even as a neutral. And yes, guys, we'll see you again next week where we can talk about, I mean, it never stops with Spurs, does it? Whether we're dumped out of Europe, whether we perform well or perform bad, there's always something to talk about. Transfer rumours will be around the corner. Guys, next time we see you, it will be after Christmas. So have a great Christmas. And yeah, come on you Spurs. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers.